So my idea of the American dream would be that you're successful at whatever you choose to accomplish. So if you want to be a doctor, then you have the resources and you have the encouragement to be able to follow that dream and follow your passion.
Okay, to me, the American dream is like the basic, like you get married, you have the 2 kids, it's the 4 people, like the white picket fence, but not really like all that, but just like you're secure, you have a family, you have a job, you're happy, you live in a suburb.
So the American dream means to me just being able to, like, you know, accomplish any goals that you set without any barriers that's preventing you from reaching those goals. I think a lot of times you hear that the American dream is like the white picket fence, having, you know, the job that you want, married, kids, all that good stuff, which is fine. But for me, the American dream is just being able to reach my goals wherever I set. So that may be, you know, being a school counselor, which I'm trying to do, or being, you know, in the NBA, you know, so it's whatever goals you have, but for me, it's just being able to be able to reach those goals without any barriers stopping me.
So the American dream to me would mean being able to achieve what you believe is worth achieving, regardless of background, regardless of any kind of limitations anybody would set upon you, because that's the opportunity we're given, that we have that right to do regardless.
The American dream means that you have like the means to live a comfortable life, where you don't have to worry about money and you're just in a very like stable environment, and just not something that's very like pushing you hard, but you just like are living comfortably.
Well, my name is Michael Covington, of course, but what the American dream is to me is like basically what it should be, what I dream about. The American dream is something that is equal across all platforms. It is something of everyone accepting each other for one another. It is another person helping one another out in need, not trying to be boastful, not trying to be envious or jealous or anything like that. Not letting political affiliations or race or gender, sexual orientation, whatever the case may be, hinder what we can accomplish all together. So I feel as though if we accomplish everything, despite those differences, we can all be a harmonious United States of America, because there are other countries that are doing just what we need. Countries like Denmark, who basically has like a socialist system, even though we don't like that, but that's what the American dream should be about. It's about loving one another regardless of our differences, and doing whatever we can to understand those differences and understand that we can't change the people differences. We have to accept them as who they are, except for what they're about, and try to get much more enlightened about what it means to be different and what the American dream is. I feel as though this is what Martin Luther King talked about, and this is what Malcolm X about being harmonious and stuff like that. And so when you take all that into account, it comes into bringing in like the type of thing we want to see on a day-to-day basis, making sure that our kids are safe, because I know for one thing, I wouldn't want my brother having the same experiences that I've experienced, and so I want him to have a better life than I had growing up in South Carolina, for that matter. So definitely I think that is what the American dream should be about. And willing to stand up as well for what you believe in, right or wrong. I believe that's one of the things that we need, much more leaders and not a lot of followers, because if we don't have leaders, then we're going to be much of a lost nation, and we're going to become much more hesitant to make those bold decisions if we don't have a clear-cut leader in mind. So that's what I think the American dream is about. It's going to be a long type of thing. It's going to be a long way before we can get to the American dream, but I believe it may be possible and also maybe not. But so Jesus, and we'll see where else next.
The American dream to me means being happy with everything you've accomplished in life.
American dream is a social contract that we enter into where we believe that you can build on your individual interests and strengths to achieve, unhindered by structural or systemic issues or barriers.
To me, the American dream basically just means like being able to get through school and you know, like get the job that you've always wanted, and just be successful in that and be happy with where it takes you in life. And I don't know, just kind of being able to like live comfortably on that.
like the American dream is when you're able to find something that you love and enjoy doing, and you're able to pursue that without any hesitation or anybody trying to hold you back. It's just something that you can go for and work on your own. And the American dream is that's always a possibility, and that you can achieve whatever goal you set for yourself.
If a teacher shows encouragement, is supportive, encourages the students, really facilitates learning to engage them and make it relevant to them. I also think it could also impact them in a negative way. If I've observed teachers in classrooms who are negative, they're degrading, there's no respect for students in the classroom, and so I feel like those students do not have the self-esteem, and they don't have the encouragement they need, and they just almost give up just because of the discouragement they're getting from their teacher. So I was at a conference earlier in the semester, and there was a speaker there that talked about he lived in a neighborhood with there was 8 of his buddies, and 4 of them grew up to be like business owners or doctors or educator, and then the other 4 grew up and had experiences. One had died, one was, I believe, paroled, and then the other 2 were in jail or prison for various things. And so he started thinking in his like, what was the impact? Why in the world did these 8 students who went to the same school, who had the same neighborhood experiences, same family background, same socioeconomic level, what was the difference between these? And actually in his research he found that the 4 who became successful, I would say, at achieving the American dream, or actually had the same 4th grade teacher. The other 4 had a different 4th grade teacher. And I think that is a huge statement to say that how much of an impact a teacher can have and an educational experience can have on a student and following possibly the American dream.
So I think maybe like one bad educational like, I guess, setback that could affect the American dream is probably the expectations that are set for certain students. So for example, I know in the college prep classes, you know, the whole idea of going to college, especially like a place like Clemson isn't really stressed as much as you will see in the AP or in the honors classes or the IB classes. So these kids are sometimes, you know, not expected to go to a place like Clemson. And with me, I'm a grad student, but I took, you know, all CP classes and things like that. And it's because I had, you know, the right people in my corner to push me. So I think that sometimes, you know, the ceiling is a little bit lower for like some students who aren't in those high achieving classes. So I think that's maybe one way how maybe like a bad experience could affect someone. For a good experience, I think it just kind of goes back to the example that I had. So at my high school, I had a really good school counselor who basically gave me all the tools that I needed, but basically, or more so the confidence to go out and get my 4-year degree, and also to be here today getting my master's degree. So I think just having like the right important people in your corner at your school is very important in achieving your American dream.
So to me, I think that like the educational system is very important in terms of like how it influences you. So like if you have a bad educational like environment in like either high school or college, then I think it makes you like less motivated, at least in high school, to like go to college and get like the education you need to have a secure job. And so if you have like a good college experience, or like in terms of higher education, then you're more around people who are like trying to be successful just like you are, and who are more driven to succeed. And so I think that would like help you succeed in life, as well as to like achieve the American dream, which is like to be in like a secure environment where you have the means to be taken care of.
Negative educational experience can deter a student from wanting to continue to seek education. You know, one bad teacher can really sour someone's belief in themselves, their self-worth, their abilities. And so when that's undermined, that can have a really serious impact, especially with a structure like school that's so monolithic and such a large part of our culture. You know, expectations about graduating from high school, about taking the SAT or going to college are prevalent around, and if you don't fit that mold, if you're not quote unquote good at school, you can have a really negative self-image that can follow people for a lifetime. You know, my younger sister, even though she graduated from undergraduate, always hated school and always talked about herself as if she weren't capable and she was so stupid because she didn't fit the schooling model, but she was incredibly successful in the work world. And so I think for those students who are good at schooling, I think it's a reinforcement of that. But I've also met numerous students. I think the salutatorian from my high school ended up dropping out of college because she couldn't transfer her knowledge into and her understanding into sort of the real world. She could do really well at school and tests and things when someone was directing her to do things, but trying to problem solve and live in the real world was too chaotic and too much for her, and she sort of pulled back from that. So I think it's not an unalloyed virtue to say you're good at school, because being good at school might not necessarily translate to success outside of school too.
So I feel like a good education is definitely something that'll keep somebody on the right path and let them attain whatever goal they go for. I've had bad teachers in the past, and it's really pushed me away from pursuing something in that field. Just seeing that, having that negative vibe from that teacher, just about that subject. But I've had some great teachers in the past in my sciences, and that's what's led me into health sciences. It's something that's really pushed me, and I found that they really enjoyed it, and it was something that I really enjoyed learning from them, just with how passionate they were about those subjects.
I do feel like I have been given the opportunity to live my American dream. I was blessed with two parents who were like working middle class or upper middle class, but they both have had jobs like my whole life, and we've been secure. They've obviously like helped me pay to get me to college, to give me an education, and they've just supported me in anything and everything that I do, and they're helping me. I know they'll help me like after I graduate a little bit just to get me started, and then I don't know, I just like that's all.
So I think in higher education, there has been the opportunity to achieve that American dream that I think everybody has. In, I guess, early and lower educations, there's still that perceived limitation based off of stereotypes, based off of like racial tension, literally like any of that. But once you get to that higher education level, those barriers kind of fall down.
I would say yes and no for in terms of given the opportunities that I guess the America has given to me. I would say yes, because even though I haven't capitalized on the decisions, I feel like the opportunities were in somewhat of my reach. I wasn't just able to grab it, or I just didn't have like the attention span, or I just didn't have the motive to get the job that I wanted, or get the profession I wanted, or get the internship that I wanted or desired. And I also think it's no as well, just because I think that there are a lot of other internships and opportunities, or for example scholarships at Clemson, that most people of my background doesn't get, that other backgrounds do get. And so I feel as though I'm being shorthanded there. I do believe in fairness. I do believe in equality. I do believe that we need to be fair first, but we can like offer equality. So I do think that I've been shorthanded in terms of opportunities. But as they say in America, it's up to me to get the job done. It's up to me to make sure that I get the opportunities I want at this desire, and I have to work. I do realize I have to work twice as hard as everyone else just to get those opportunities. But I think it just showed that I possibly can work harder than most people.
I think that I have been given the opportunity to reach my own American dream, because like I had great teachers all throughout school that were like really encouraging and wanted us all to be successful and wanted us to like get good grades and graduate and be able to like, you know, then get into a good school, and then in college like they want us to learn as much as we can and like do our best all the time so that we can get a job. And it's just kind of like a train of like people caring enough to want us all to end up where we want to be. So
I also have been really blessed by having like a lot of like positive teachers and from such a young age, and that's why I want to be a teacher now. I went to public school my whole life, and I was just surrounded by like a really close knit, like it was a smaller public school, elementary school, and then we all went to a little bigger middle school and then a little bigger high school. And throughout my whole experience, I just had like encouraging teachers who like knew me, knew my family, were really motivating, and then obviously helped me get to Clemson, which has just been one of the biggest blessings.
So the way that I guess people in my education, like growing up, like my teachers, my principals, they really enforced the acceptance of diversity. First and foremost being my principal growing up, and then later on some of my teachers who held us all accountable on equal standards that made us feel that we were on kind of a horizontal hierarchy instead of a vertical based off of ourselves, if that makes sense. Not even just our grades, but intrinsically what we felt was important to us.
I think the American Dream is more of a collective experience in that as a teacher, we want all of our classes. See, just as in my current science methods, I want every student to pass. I want every student to get an A, and I'm teaching for mastery. I'm teaching for them to be successful. So I think as far as the American Dream goes, and we're wanting it to be a collective because we want everyone to succeed. Because if my neighbor succeeds and my cousin succeeds, then it makes our world a better place. I also think, though, that it's also got to be something intrinsic, so it's more of an individual, because I think sometimes people are given opportunities to achieve the American Dream and maybe just don't have the support system there to be able to achieve it, or they just are not motivated enough and don't have the intrinsic motivation in order to achieve it. So I think it's definitely collective, but it, again, depends on the inner drive of a person as well.
I think the American Dream is more individualized just because so many people have different opinions on it, and like to each person it means a different thing. And like I think it started out when people moved to America, it was like one big group thing, and now since we've been here for so many years that things have changed and progressed, that like there's different, like the American Dream is individual to each person. Like my dream's probably not the same as my neighbor's dreams, and that's okay. That's their dream, and I have my own dreams.
For the final question, I really think it's best if we work as a collective unit, because not everybody is blessed with the same opportunities as some other people may be. So depending on where you live, or maybe even how you look can sometimes set up barriers in front of you that other people may not have to go through. So I think maybe a more collective unit is probably the best way to go about it. But also I don't want it to like diminish the fact that everyone should be trying their best to get to whatever point or however far they want to get in their goals. So a little bit of both, but I think I agree with the collective view.
For me, I think the American Dream is very much like about yourself and about you trying to get to this level. If like you were at the bottom, then you want to be at the top, and like it's very much like about you and how you want to live comfortably. And it's not so much about like the other people, but like you being on the same level as like the higher, like the more privileged people, and like you reaching that level as well, and not so much as like everyone has to reach it, but as long as you reach it.
I think the American Dream is individualistic because everyone's in charge of their own happiness.
I felt that one of the most significant things about our project was the different responses and perspectives of what the American Dream means to each person. It really opened my eyes to be able to see how different a term can be to certain people and how different their lives can affect on whether or not they will get there, or even affect entirely what their American Dream means or what the goal is entirely. And I just thought that was very interesting to see how it was so different.
I really thought that the examples from people's educational experiences on if they thought that catered to the American Dream or not, I think it really opened my eyes, especially becoming a teacher, to really want to work on accepting all of my students and really motivating them, encouraging them to reach the goals that they may have in their head for that American Dream.